Back to the podcast, we have special guest Alex Sterner. Alex Sterner is your coach's favorite coach by far, I would say. We've got potentially other special guests. Your second favorite or another favorite's coach's coach Angus Bradley joining us, potentially from Indonesia. Anyway, if he doesn't join today, we'll hit him up next week. It's all good. All good. What's going on, bro?
Not a whole lot, man. Just wrapped up another day of coaching. Sounds like that music in the background that I mentioned is picking up again, but yeah, it's been good. Really been in a rhythm lately.
Sick. So for those who don't know who Alex Sterner is, man, Sterner is the GOAT of strength and conditioning coaches for jiu-jitsu, I would say. For any kind of combat sport. If you don't know who he is, check his Instagram handles out. Man, this guy has been coaching, the best jiu-jitsu athletes in the world for what are we talking, like 10 years now? At least, I would say.
Yeah, man. 2015 was when it started.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
big. That's big. We this is our third podcast together, I think now, maybe fourth. So you can check out. Look, if you don't know who he is, check out our previous podcasts. You can get the background on that. What's been happening recently, Stan? And what you got? We got ADCC coming up. What's happening with the boys and girls?
Yeah, so ADCC camp is in full swing. Everyone's really like plugging away, working hard. And yeah, just training in general has been great here. Got a couple groups of jujitsu athletes. Dude, we picked up an OVR jump recently, and I swear to God, that piece of equipment has just changed our culture at the gym, just in such a cool way. We normally do plyos, we do jumping and stuff, but a lot of times, even with a broad jump, it's not as fun to like measure that out. When you're getting that reading after doing a vert, like, dude, everyone's getting competitive. The jujitsu athletes, the soccer moms that are just training to be healthy. I don't know. It's cool when you can establish a culture where you normalize competition and it really just like brings out the best in people. It's been great.
Yeah, I need to get one of those. I seen you put a clip up. I'm like, damn, it's getting all the boys around there, seeing who can fucking jump the highest. Of course,
Yeah.
you get a bunch of fellas in the same room. Of course, they're gonna try and be like, nah, I got this, man. And then each week they're gonna be like, fuck, that I need to hit my squats. I need to hit my Bulgarians. I need to get my fucking legs way stronger so I can crush everyone in the fucking jumps.
Yeah. And like, okay, you could argue almost any sport has more direct application of a vertical jump than jujitsu.
Yeah.
But I really think that when you gamify something like that and people are training for it, they're trying to focus on the things like you mentioned that are going to translate to improving their jump. Like that is the essence of what we're trying to do. And when people are super bought in on something and they're starting to pay attention to the variables that make a difference, right? Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's just a beautiful thing. And jumping is also so accessible, right? You take any other lift and there could be, a million reasons why someone can't back squat. They're not trying to get competitive with somebody else. Maybe someone outweighs them by 50 pounds, so there's no way in hell they'd ever be able to do it. Like anyone can jump and everyone has jumped like thousands of times in their life already.
Yeah.
So it's so accessible. I don't know. It's been great. It's been
What
awesome to see.
what are you putting up there on the jumps?
I just hit 34 inches the other day
Fuck yeah.
without an approach. So I'm pretty stoked about that. My goal, I turned 35 this year. I want to hit 35 inches while I'm 35. I think that'd be sick.
Yes. What's Marlon putting up?
Marlins, dude, he's kind of pissed that it's not as high as he would like. He's putting up like 28, 29 inches. But
Yeah.
he does not like anybody to outperform him. He's like pissed. He'll hit a couple jumps and then he'll be like pacing around watching other people doing it, like plotting his next session. It's pretty great.
Sick, sick. So what's the camps going well? How many people you got coming into ADCC this year?
Yeah,
Normally
I got
you'd have a
I
full house this time,
yeah,
right?
we got a couple guys. PJ has been in here a lot. Marlon's been in here a lot. I've been working a little bit with Zaruski, who's going to be heading there. Nico does our programming remotely. A lot of times he's out here for a camp, but
Yeah,
he's not here this time around. But he's pretty dialed. So yeah, we got a handful of guys.
sick.
Um, dude, and it's been good. I really think like a big tournament like that that only rolls along every 2 years, people are willing to just really buckle down and try to line everything up. All my guys that are in it are talking to me multiple months out. We're coming out with like, a long-term plan for it. It's not just like, all right, I got Worlds in 4 weeks, let's buckle down. It's and dude, that's where, the stuff that we do, it takes time. And we want to hit some of those qualities a bit further out. We want to dial in, a lot of the stuff that we're doing now is really, turning the dial up on cardio and power work. And yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun when people have that long-term goal, when they're really bought in for it. And it's awesome to see when people do a good job of taking care of their physical prep and balancing it well with the camp. I think some of these guys like PJ's really got a good system for it nowadays. He's dialed in. He's got Greg Souders is out here now helping him out with the jujitsu side of things. Which is important because a guy like PJ running his own gym, it's good sometimes to not have to organize everything, in terms of
100%.
jujitsu.
100%. If you got a big tournament like that and that you want to win, and it's like the stakes are high, right? The last thing you want to be, you just want to take as much, you want to manage your stress as best as possible, right? So if you have a coach there being like, okay, I've got my strength and conditioning covered, I just need to show up. Obviously, I need to do the right things around that. But if I show up, I know I'll get good training. If I show up to jiu-jitsu, I know I get good training. I don't need to think about planning the entire sessions. So that's obviously massive for these guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I every 2 years, I love the season of ADCC camp. It's awesome.
Well, the thing is, you get guys all year round, right? So like like we spoke about on our last podcast, if these guys are training all year round, it just makes the in camp so much easier. Because imagine like you get one guy who's like, yeah, I want to work with you for like the next 8 weeks, and you're like, okay, well, for sure we can do that, but like, what is the rest of it? Like, you get them into the weight room, and they're like, the squad is dog shit or they're still learning shit. It's just like, okay, fuck. We can make this work, but it's like we really should have started like 6 months ago.
Yeah, for sure. And then not only that, obviously you got to sometimes touch up technique, whatever, but it's also, dude, that first week of training, it just beats the shit out of them. And then that plus they're dialing up their jujitsu. It's just like the perfect storm for a camp not starting off right, and then
Yeah,
it's hard to find their rhythm. So yeah, that's super not ideal. But yeah, having guys year round. I mean, it's for the guys who are making this their life, like I tell them early on, I'm like, and I even tell them when they're going into something like Gi Worlds is a classic one where these guys will just like disappear afterwards. And I'm like, guys, I don't want you to disappear before we're then ramping up for the entire like Nogi season, right? Like those 2 months, I get that you might dial back with your jujitsu, and I actually encourage that, but let's not completely disappear in the gym. Because it really, being able to build in a true off season is invaluable.
massive, dude. Get some fucking chase the massive PBs. Get the
Yeah.
strength gains in. How's your Olympic lifting going, man? You been getting
Olympic
into it
lifting,
all?
right? I'm just hitting some hang cleans right now, just some stuff to carry over to the vert so I can keep these young bucks in check.
Sick. Man, I've been
Yeah, I
hitting it
see.
hard. I've been hitting it
Dude,
hard
okay,
recently.
I wrote this down. I wanted to ask you about this. So I know in the past there were, I don't remember if it was like an injury or something, but a lot of barbell lifts were kind of tough for a while. And lately, I've been seeing you clanging and banging with the good stuff. Dude, was that a bench PR, what, yesterday?
Yeah, 142.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
I had back surgery, I think like 10 years ago. So I had L4, L5 discectomy. And that fucked with me for a long time because like the back it was never right for I would say at least 5 years. I could still do jiu-jitsu, like I could get back into like a solid routine, but like getting back into barbell lifts, I'd always just rush the process, right? Like before I had surgery, I was like decently strong. I could snatch 100 kilos, clean and jerk 120. Like I was learning the Olympic lifts. I had a good, decent deadlift, decent squat. So then after I had surgery, I didn't really have a coach, and I was just like just fucking winging it. So every time I'd try and get back to like heavy lifting, the back would just kind of like fuck out because I just didn't wouldn't do it like in a gradual approach. So then I was like just jumping program to program for a while, did gymnastics. And then I kind of just like, I would say for the last 5 years, set myself into a routine where I just avoid the barbell lifts. Obviously, I'm still teaching them to all my athletes because it's all the good shit, right? But I would just like be like, nah, my back doesn't really handle hinging too well, da da da. And then at the back end of last year, my back was fucked, bro. Like I would go to jiu-jitsu and I would do a hard session with the boys, and then I'd be like, I'd probably last like 4 sessions, right? And then my back would be fucked, and I'd literally be like bent sideways, could barely walk, and I'd be like, man, this is killing me. And I was like, man, I don't want to stop doing jiu-jitsu, but like something has to change. So I hit up a really good physio. Shout out Alex Morel, and we basically just went from ground zero back up to reintroducing, starting with Zercher squats, starting with split stance deadlifts, and I treat it like I went to Australia in December last year, and I got off, and I was literally like bent fucking sideways for 2 weeks, man. My back was fucked. So we started like the hinge process with like a 5 kilo dumbbell. And literally like every week I'll just go, cool, 7 kilos, 10 kilos, 12. And I just went juice, 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 super gradual, getting all these different types of movement in, like, just the good shit, rotation, loading, flexion, extension, um, starting with like loading up a good fucking Zercher split squat. And like now to the point we're at now, like it's just graded exposure to all these lifts again, which has allowed me to get back in to proper fucking lifting. And the results have been amazing. Just like, it's literally just been the case of graded exposure, start from ground zero again and just get back to maybe get back. I'm way stronger than I was before now, which is great.
Yeah, dude. Okay. So I was just talking to one of my athletes about this today. Young kid, actually, he spends like half the year here and half up in Ireland. You familiar with Callan O'Mahony?
No,
Okay. Keep your eyes
maybe.
peeled for him 'cause
Yeah, yeah.
he's only a purple belt right now, but he on the last Polaris, like he submitted a solid black
Oh,
belt.
yeah, 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 yeah. He joined the Polaris team. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So I was talking to him because he's got a similar type thing with just barbell back squats, right? Where
Yeah,
it just, for whatever reason, it sets something off. And this is something that I've really talked to a lot of people about, and it's tough when it's you, right? It's so easy from someone
yeah,
on an outside perspective to be like, nope, this is where we're starting. Because I think we have like this sense of identity for certain things. Like I have a sense for each exercise of like what's light for me, what's like, pretty difficult and what's kind of heavy, right?
yeah,
And we see that identity sort of affect us all the time. You'll create some barrier for something that's heavy, like there's some number that'll just crush you repeatedly, and then one day you'll break it, and then you blow past it, right? But I think that also that identity can sometimes really serve us like the wrong way when we're injured, where we're like, okay, putting a plate on each side, that's light. But whatever that threshold is for that structure that's pissed off, that's like flirting with that line. And like you've got to be able to drop that identity entirely, which yourself is like it's tough because when you're squatting, you're like, okay, what's going to give me a good quad pump or whatever, right? And that is totally not the gear that you need to be in that moment in time when you've got something that's pissed off that when it's loaded at that specific angle, it just sets it off over and over. And it's crazy how sometimes even with those really provocative exercises, if you just dial it way, way back and start really slow, like you can build back on an exercise that maybe we've written off for a while. I think it's awesome to see.
yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. I saw this good post, and like me and we talk about this all the time. Like pain is psychological too. The psychological aspect of rehab is fucking massive, and people keep forgetting about that. Like you have to fully believe that you will get past this. And if you don't have that full belief, like it's going to be really tough because like let's say you have an injury and you've rehabbed all the tissues around that injury and that's no longer injured anymore. But if you're still carrying that psychological component that I can't do this thing, it's going to be very difficult to eventually get yourself back into that position if you don't fully believe that it's healed. And you do see that people will have pain symptoms even though the injury doesn't actually exist anymore because they're still holding on to it. And that was me for ages.
And it might not even be like I can't do this. It might just be that little like glimmer of doubt where you're like
Yes.
not 100% sure. And I think that's another place where that outside perspective, like you're no longer the one making the call. You're like, all right, I trust this guy. He's saying we're ready to make this jump. Let's make this jump. And it sometimes that's enough to just put that doubt in the back seat and let you actually dive back into it. Dude, it's powerful.
Super powerful, man. Yeah, no, it's been awesome getting back into those lifts. I feel amazing.
So,
Like, oh, sorry, the internet's been a bit weird here. Say again.
no worries. Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
I got you now. What did you say, sir?
Keep going. I want to keep hearing what you're saying.
Um, what was I saying? Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Like getting back into like the back squat's funny for can definitely be like off-putting for some people. And I can see why. Like that's why I think Zerches and front squat variations, just at least building people's confidence up with those movements, if they do have that direct fear with back squats, is great. Because it's like, cool, man, you can fucking squat 100 kgs on a Zercher or a front squat. Let's just start with like 60 kgs on the back squat and just build that up week to week. That's why I like those front-loaded exercises. Obviously, the front squat, the gentleman squat, as you like to call it, is like it's fucking elite in its own right. Same for the Zercher, but they're just such great tools to just build that confidence up, build that base strength up, and then you're like, cool, you want to do some back squats? Let's fucking go. And obviously, like in like the greater tier of things, the back squat is like obviously the go-to like the what go-to squat exercise, but. You know, we're doing jiu-jitsu here, so it doesn't really fucking matter that much. Like, you got a strong Zercher, you got a strong front squat, that's sweet. Like you're gonna get a ton of core stimulus, ton of upper back stimulus. That's all you need, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying
And
the Olympic lifting too, bro. I need to clean my front rack position up though. My front rack position now is just dog shit. Can't even hold the bar in that, in that fucking front rack position right now.
has that always been tough for you or just since the time off?
Just since the time off, I looked at old videos of me and I could be like, I could get that no problem. Now I get the bar, I'm like, oh, I just need to put the work in. I can't even get it right now. So I'm just enjoying the snatch.
Yeah. But since like the end of last year, it's been like at least pretty predictable. Like you've been able to hit it, you've been able to hit the numbers you're expecting to and not really having those same setbacks.
Yeah, I haven't had like touch wood. I haven't really had any setbacks at all with it. I like for sure. The biggest thing for me was like I just want to get back to jiu-jitsu 3 times per week and then hit PBs around that. Um, and it's just managing like your fatigue. Like right now we've got the ADCC camp, which I'm doing with the boys, and obviously that's a little bit more tough. So we've just dialed back trying to PR the Zerchers and basically the Zerchers. I would find that the heavy squat variations, the deadlift is actually easier because I'm just doing trap bar. Way less fatiguing on the lower back, but the Zerch is just fucking. That's like I would say the lower back is the bottleneck for me there. Legs are fine, can push all day, but that's even if I'm doing like 3 sets of 8 at 100, it just feels like that's the main fatigue center, which I did yesterday. But it feels great nonetheless. But we're just dialing that back a little bit, and then after the camp, we'll just try and continue to crush more PRs there.
Dude, you love to see it. I love seeing you get back to those horsing some heavy loads, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to try and hit a 160 bench within the next. I think I'll probably be able to get it within the next like 9 months. Whoop, you froze there. Man, this connection. You got me? I'm gonna put my phone over
Yeah, I got
here.
you.
Yeah, I want to try and hit a 160 bench, bro. One of my athletes, he got a 160 bench, and he's like 18 years old. So I'm like, man, I
Is
need to
that
catch him.
is that Nico?
No, Nico's this young kid's called Stefan. I started training him when he was like 15. He's just like this fucking jacked Romanian kid. Bro, he could barely bench like 70, 80 kilos when he first started. And you know, if you get kids from, I'm sure you've seen this, you get like a committed kid who's like athletic and like decently strong, and you just commit them to good fucking training 3 times a week. But this guy's a monster. Like now he, from barely being able to bench 80 kilos for to 3 years later, benching 160, 140 for abs. Kid can deadlift like 250 kilos. He'll probably have like a 250 kilo squat one day as well. Just teaching him Olympic lifting now. He's just so fucking strong, dude. It's
Dude,
great
to have
seeing.
that guidance at that age, you're like a sponge. You know what I mean? Like the skill acquisition is dialed way up. You've got a huge runway to actually like keep putting those investments in and just making those little jumps. I'm jealous of a kid at that age that has like quality training, you know?
Me too.
Dude, I was ripping stuff off of like shitty T Nation forums and
Yeah, yeah.
muscle mags at the checkout, like anything I could get my hands on.
Me and the boys, we used to go in Australia. You'd have 2 weeks free for kids at Fitness First. So we'd go to the gym and just fucking just do chest and shoulders every day, 7 days a week, bro. Now, like legs, like once a week, chest and shoulders, the other 6 days. It was so
Yeah.
retarded. We had like we had a rugby facility as well, but like the coaches didn't really give a fuck there. They're like, yeah, here's the program. It's like, yeah, it's a good program. It had squatting, Olympic lifting, all that shit there. But they weren't coaching you. So you're just like, nah, we're just gonna do some fucking bench and maybe some overhead pressing. That was it. Overhead pressing and bench press. And all of our shoulders were fucked.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Those are all those like canon events, you know?
Fuck yeah. Yeah, we got a good group of teenagers right now. Like I feel very lucky. We've got just like I think we've got like 6 or 7 teenagers that we train, and it's fucking sick. Getting kids in from like 14 to 15 years old, just in the weight room with good solid training, just watching them progress months and months and months and months. And obviously they're growing at the same time. And then like suddenly what will happen is there'll be like a 6 month period where their gains just go fucking boom. Because they just hit
For
a
sure.
massive, just hit a growth spurt, or just adaptations just fucking catch up so quickly.
Yeah, I feel like with a lot of them, it's like as the growing starts to slow down, all of a sudden, like they can just fill their frame out. And yeah, it's incredible to see.
Yeah.
Plus,
But
dude, when they're learning jujitsu at that age, the way that they pick things up and like how naturally they just get better and better, yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I think it really lends to where the sport's at right now, where it's actually attracting people at younger ages. They're really like, committing to it. I don't know, it's cool to see, dude. Sometimes I watch like, dude, at Worlds each year, I'll watch the juvenile like blue belt division,
oh, bro,
and
that's the
it's
hardest division. That's the hardest
it
division.
is it's crazy, man.
Mm.
Like those guys, for all intents and purposes, are not blue belts.
Yeah, yeah.
You give them an adult body, and let them like commandeer it like it's a mech suit. They will steamroll adults like
Oh,
at
yeah.
much higher levels.
You're almost looking at future black belt world champs if they just
Yeah.
stick with it. If they just stick with it, they'll be the guys who are winning those divisions will be future black belt world champs.
Yeah, I remember watching Roberto Jimenez as like a blue belt juvenile and being like, that kid's a freak, you know?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. We have a 14-year-old kid at Los Benditos who's like just showing up to adult events and just submitting them, literally just fucking
Just
them up.
messing them up. Yeah.
And
It's
he's
pretty
tiny
awesome.
as well. He's like a little stick figure. Like, but it's so good to see him in the weight room getting stronger as well. Like, bro, he gets a fucking. There was like a period of like 6 months ago where he's just gone from. It just shot up massively in his strength gains. Like he used to get someone with a straight ankle lock, and you'd be like, "Well, I'm just gonna fucking straighten my leg and I'm just gonna get out." Now, bro, he'll break your foot if he
Yeah.
has your he'll fucking break. If you don't tap, he's gonna fucking break it.
Yeah, man. It's it's pretty cool. How is everything going with like Los Banditos? Because that was the last time we were on a call. It was, you guys were relatively young at that point, right? Or is it just a new location or what?
Same shit, man. I mean, we're just chipping away. I just did the strength training stuff for them, but like, it's such a good gym, man. I fucking love it there. We just show just it, what happened? It's just a competitors gym, which is awesome. Like some people come into town, be like, "Oh, like where's the beginners class?" Like, there's no fucking beginners class. It's like, if you shop, like if you're just some guy like traveling in town, like who's looking to learn some jiu-jitsu, like you'll definitely learn stuff. But if you show up to the 11 o'clock class, which realistically starts at like 11:40, 12 o'clock, like the classic Brazilian timing, like you, so many people have joined that gym and then had to leave because they've just got battered. I'm sure you'd have seen the same thing in Atos. Like people come in and be like, "Yeah, I want this," and then, you know, because Joe has been teaching a lot of these kids since they were like 12 years old, and now they're like 18 plus, and they're so fucking good at jiu-jitsu. And people, visitors will come in, they're just getting fucking trashed by like a 17-year-old or like an 18-year-old. And there's like, some people can't handle it. They come in and just be like, I can't just keep getting the shit kicked out of me every single day. I love it in
Yeah,
there,
for
man.
sure. No, it's great. Man, I gotta get out there at some point.
Yeah. Have you been to London?
No, and my wife was born in London.
She's
Like I have to.
English?
She has family out there. Yeah. Well, she's half English, half Armenian.
Oh, shit. Dude, you got to come out here, man.
I know. I do.
During the summer, it's good. Don't come during winter. Winter's fucking awful in Europe, man. People make the mistake. Yeah, I'm gonna come. Don't. It's terrible in winter. Well, there's nothing to do. It's just fucking. It's just raining. It's cold. Like I assume you don't really drink. Like unless you go to pubs and stuff, then you can get around it. But like if you don't drink, you're just like, well, I'm just gonna fucking just train. But for
Yeah, the drink.
summer's way nicer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I mean with family out there and stuff, we would probably go when it's nicer, but either way, I would definitely be sneaking off to train a bit.
Mm, absolutely. Do you drink? How's your nutrition going?
Nutrition I'd say is pretty like middle of the pack. I hit the things that I need to. I'm not too dialed with it. I Another question I was gonna ask you, you've been leaning out lately, so I want to hear about that. Drinking, I've cut man in the last like nine or yeah, 9 to 12 months. There hasn't been a single time that I've had like more than two drinks. And honestly, like for my birthday the other week, I had two drinks and I could not believe how hungover I was the next morning. Like I'm
From two,
definitely
really, from two
two drinks,
drinks?
dude. Well, okay, to be fair though, I went to Rolando just opened up his place and it's really close to my gym. So their
Yeah.
very first night, yeah, it was the night before my birthday. I go there, a bunch of hard rounds, and the AC was not really working that well yet. Um, and just, dehydrated, hanging out with everybody. I had two drinks that night, and the next day I was like, oh man, I'm old. I don't know if it was me being dehydrated first or what, but
Yeah.
that messed me up, dude.
I feel like when you're not used to drinking, it just fucks you up as soon as you start having like one to two sips of alcohol.
Yeah. And lately, dude, I've just been enjoying different elements of training a lot more. And I feel like when you're more dialed, you just notice stuff like that more. You know, when you're just kind of going in and doing the bare minimum, it doesn't really matter as much. But when you're like trying to hit certain numbers or you're trying to train a bit more jujitsu, it's just so much more noticeable.
What are you doing right now with your training?
For jujitsu or for lifting?
For both. You said you're dialing in a bit more. What are the goals? What are you trying to do?
So I'm definitely hitting at least 2 days a week of jujitsu. More weeks lately have been 3 days a week.
Yes.
And then lifting, I've been hitting 3 to 4 days of like, resistance training and plyos, but I've been slamming cardio like 5 days a week.
Oh shit.
So
What are you doing?
yeah, man. Um, and honestly, for a while there, I was only training jujitsu once a week, and I could not believe like being super focused on cardio. Man, I just couldn't believe how much easier it was to train less jujitsu and not feel like you got hit by a bus. And not only that, dude, so the whole reason I did that, I mentioned to you before the call started that Marlon is like super dialed. And what we'd been doing was really building up like his aerobic base, like way further out from ADCC. But I wanted to really like crank that up for him in camp. And I was just like, all right, this is about to be a lot. And I'm not going to give someone something that I'm not going to do that I've never done myself. So first I was like, let's try it with me. And it was incredible. And so we started ramping up his cardio. Right now, he's hitting a shitload of cardio, and man, he's been telling me how he's never felt so recovered, like middle of the week, in the middle of a tough camp. And he's training with Kynan. He's training with a lot of bigger dudes right now. And yeah, he's feeling great. I'm feeling great. I'm getting really cardio pilled lately.
Sick. Just increasing that work capacity. I mean, that's the big thing, right? You have more work capacity, you can recover from like obviously the greater work capacity will just allow you to tolerate such bigger stresses, right? And you're recovering faster between your rounds.
Dude,
Ultimately, that's going to help your recovery between sessions so much more.
yeah, and you hear people say it all the time, and I think in the past, mostly due to the time component for really hitting that aerobic system and moving the needle there. Um, Personally, with my own stuff, I just never put in the time. Way back in 2011, I ran a marathon, and that was maybe the last time that I was really slamming like a high amount, like a high volume of aerobic work per week.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, it was actually so much that I just kind of hated it. You know, I had that goal, I had that date to train for, but it was just a bit much. And yeah, so it was just I didn't prioritize it. I didn't set aside the time in my schedule. And lately, I was like, all right, I'm gonna really buckle down on this. And I just couldn't believe how noticeable it was. Obviously, you know, we preach it, there's the data on it, but having actually lived it this time, and also when I first started to dial down, like the thing that was most noticeable for me was that I was only training jujitsu like once a week, and I
Yeah.
just felt so good during each session. Obviously, technique's a bit rusty. It's not enough to like feel yourself getting better, but dude, I was just having hard rounds and I was just eating them. You know, it
Yeah.
was great.
And if you're not well conditioned, that can be fucking horrific for you as well, by the way. You can just feel like you're dying in those sessions because you're like, fuck, I'm only getting here once a week. Especially when you're training with
Yeah.
top level dudes. You're just like, ugh, just puffing for fucking air the whole time.
Well, if you're not really sharp and you're always like a half step behind and you've got to like try to outwork someone just to get something and
Correct.
you've got trash conditioning, dude, it's a nightmare scenario, but
Yeah.
now it's been cool knowing that like even if I got to play catch up, I've got the gas tank for it, you know?
What are you hitting differently this time? What are you doing?
So I'd always, dude, it's just so much easier to fit into my schedule doing like more intense, shorter work. So that's
Yeah.
normally what I would make the majority of my own conditioning. But
Yeah.
I just kept that I kept the more intense, glycolytic stuff, but I just also, it was like the classic polarized approach, hitting some like long duration steady state stuff, and then also just the shorter intense intervals and just carving out the time for it. And when I was actually hitting both of those, yeah, it was beautiful. So two aerobic sessions per week where I
Yeah.
made damn sure it was at least 45 minutes on
Yeah.
days when I had it, an hour and a half. And then on the shorter sessions, different work to rest intervals, but nothing that's really going to go past 15 minutes,
Yeah.
short, intense. Get those in 3 days a week. I could stack those after my strength and conditioning, but then, or, after my strength work. But then the aerobic days, I was just setting aside on their own day, take a fat chunk of time, listen to a podcast or something, get it out of the way. Yeah, and it's just been great.
That's sick. You do have to make the time for that though. I'm thinking about it. Like
You do, dude,
it is
okay.
a fucking commitment.
That was the barrier, actually
Yeah.
setting aside the time. And then like, whether it's me writing a program or trying to get a post out or whatever, it would take, you'd have that hour-long block and then it's 40 minutes and then it's 30 and then you're just not accumulating the volume to actually see the changes that you need. It's also kind of wild how compared to a lot of the other things that we do that are very intensity driven for those adaptations, dude, the
Yes.
aerobic system is so volume driven. And if you aren't
Yeah.
getting that volume, you're just not going to see those returns.
Mm. You got to fucking put ass on the seat. Like
Yep.
when I used to row is like, yeah, same shit. 6 days a week of just you're on the erg. You don't like the
But
erg,
dude,
you're gonna run. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy how, man, I think, okay, I don't know if you're in any of those like Facebook jujitsu groups where you get just the most brain dead questions in the world, but
I mean,
everyone,
yeah,
I'm
I mean
convinced
that's that
everyone
welcome.
asking. for
That's my
like that
life.
recovery hack, dude, they just need cardio. Just do more cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think the average person's work capacity is just absolute dog shit. And I think that they're looking for nine other things that they can do instead of actually putting the time in to get better cardio. And I really think that most people who train, it would change the way that they view training and the time that they like set aside in their schedule for jujitsu. They'll be more present during each round. They won't sit as many rounds out. It's just another one of those investments that has such a great return.
Yeah. Such a good point. Roman did a good post about this the other day as well. It's just like, dude, like the fitter and stronger that you are, the more you're just going to be able to handle. Especially like fitness as well. Like people don't realize that by getting way fitter, that's also going to help your strength gains. Like dude, you got a fucking heavy barbell on your back and you're because you don't have the fucking gas to be able to do multiple reps. Like, of course that's going to have an impact on your lifting. Better work capacity. Obviously, you can like it's not necessarily going to lift heavy shit, but you'll just be way calmer under those higher stress situations because you just be able to regulate your heart rate way better. Also, like not to mention recovery, like sleep, bro. If you're fitter and your body has a way better fucking way of managing blood circulating around the body and like uptaking oxygen, your sleep is just going to go through the fucking roof.
Dude, honestly, for quality of life changes, the biggest one as I've really made like considerable improvements in aerobic fitness for me is sleep. Given
Yeah,
a certain number of hours of sleep, my quality will go up. And, having a young kid at home, and sometimes it's unpredictable whether I'm going to get that full night that I'm shooting for or not.
yeah,
I swear, man, it made such a big difference in that aspect. And there's also I always try to take these studies with a grain of salt because I always wonder like what competitors they're actually testing. But there's that one that compares like VO2 max of competitive jiu-jitsu athletes to other sports.
yeah.
And the VO2 max of which, again, whatever athletes they tested was somewhere around like your average Olympic lifter, you
Hmm.
know? Like jujitsu, I really don't think it builds VO2 max or your aerobic system all that well, despite the fact that you do have an elevated heart rate. I've got like, I don't know. I feel like this would be really hard to test, but like the occlusion effect that happens like when you're lifting and how the occlusion of those muscular contractions increase heart rate without an oxygen debt. I think a lot of that happens in jujitsu, where so much of it is isometric. You're gripping, you're holding, that it jacks up the heart rate a little bit, like not relative to the cardiovascular stimulus that it gives you. But
Yeah.
that's not to say that like building your cardio off the mats won't have a profound effect on what you experience when you are on the mats. It honestly makes such a
Yeah.
big difference.
Well, to that point as well, if you have a greater gas tank, you got more to give. So rather than like resting on your laurels there, you're like, no, I've got more to give here. Like a lot of the reason why, and I did a podcast with Lachlan Giles about this when he was preparing, um, what's his fucking name? Levi Jones Leary, Levy for CJI. He's like, all right, we're gonna have like high heart rate specific rounds, and they just couldn't get the training partners in for him that would like obviously like they would have great quality training partners, but he would just go straight back into his normal fucking game, which is like having this impossible guard to pass, like holding people down. And he's like, we just couldn't get his heart rate up. So in between, like, we'd literally just do time it where he's doing like 3 minutes on. As soon as he finishes, he's sprinting up and down the gym, doing burpees, sprinting up and down. Then he's going back into a round. So we had to fight that. He's and using airdyne protocols just to get his fucking heart rate up during rounds because he's so efficient. He wouldn't get the stimulus that he needs within those rounds. And when those competitors are very good at jiu-jitsu, obviously they don't want to expect the whole aim of jiu-jitsu is not to expend huge amounts of energy. So you're not going to get that crazy heart rate fluctuation unless you're putting yourself into these big scrambling positions, which a lot of the top guys, they don't want to expose themselves to those positions because there's going to expose, their back, they're going to have, it's going to expose themselves more to submissions and losing position. So, but if you know that you can push that extra gas, psychologically, that's going to make you go for things way more.
For sure. And there's also, man, there's that element of when you are actually committed and building your cardio and knowing that you're doing that more than the guy next to you, you know that like as you feel your HP bar going down, you know theirs is going down faster,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and there's something awesome about that too. Um, you know, I think the thing that's tough though, and we were sort of talking about this on that last podcast as well, where there's elements of plyos that can be hard to gamify sometimes in a way that doesn't happen with the weights, right? Like slapping more weights on there, a lot of people get some sort of dopamine release from that. They feel rewarded from it. And
Yeah.
sometimes plyos doesn't give that, right? And likewise, I think a lot of times, unless you create that culture for it, unless you're giving that feedback, you're giving someone numbers to shoot for. We're tracking things. We're trying to gamify it and claw and scrape for that little bit extra. Cardio can be kind of just boring and lackluster, you know? So you got to get a bit creative with how you incentivize it and make that a bit more gamified because people want to feel like they're improving. They don't want to feel like they're just droning on and on. But the aerobic stuff, no matter how you slice and dice it, some of it is gonna be that, you know? It's gonna be kind of boring.
Yeah, especially that's like the longer pieces just suck ass. But again, you just got to get a podcast in. You just got to fucking get it done. Like I think the some great tests is like 2K row times and like what do we used to do as well? 4K row times. Like just
I've been
horrific.
I've been slamming 3K rows lately. I feel like that's a
A
like a
nice
solid
medium.
time frame. Yeah.
What?
Or like lately what I've been doing with guys that 30-second on minute and a half recovery pace on the assault bike, but then gamifying it and being like, all right, in that first 30 seconds, how high can you get your wattage? And
Yeah.
dude, it forces people into deep water because if you're going at 30 seconds on, that minute and a half at a recovery pace is not enough time to actually recover. So if you're trying to hit a new peak wattage in that first 30 seconds,
Yeah, you're fucked, bro.
it's
Yeah,
gonna be tough. But
that's
again,
what it
it's like
should be.
yeah, and it's something to shoot for where you're not just like, all right, this is just gonna suck for 30 seconds. You're watching the numbers, you're trying to get that little extra bit of output.
Mm.
And I think that's important, dude. I think a lot of things lately, I've been trying to just focus on in the realm of it being a side quest, right? Like you diving into Olympic list right now, like you've got this side quest. And ultimately, how much the Olympic lift itself does or doesn't perfectly translate to what you're training for matters so much less than the way that you're approaching it and the way that you're trying to problem solve, the way that you're trying to just claw and scrape for every little bit of adaptation. Like
Mm.
that's the thing. So as long as we can get that element, that approach into things that are beneficial, you know, trying to be like, all right, we've got a bit of a hole here for cardio. How do we gamify that? How do we turn this into a side quest
Mm.
where it becomes a little bit more fun? I think makes a world of difference. Because when it's just, I don't know, when it's just numbers on a page, then might as well just grab it from Chat GPT and then I don't know. It's just not, it's not the same.
That's true. You need people to buy into it, right?
Yeah.
How do
No,
I
and
get
it's
how do we get maximum buy into this? So people actually want to do it.
for sure. And it's kind of funny because, dude, Marlon, as I give him these different like intervals on different pieces of conditioning equipment and stuff. It's funny because he'll do it the first time and then he'll start to strategize to how he's gonna like do it better. And it's just awesome to see. And then he'll be like, all right, so I tried to follow this game plan that ChatGPT gave me. And like, you know, I got dragged into deep water. Like, what should I do differently? But the fact of the matter is he's like thinking about it and he's
Mm.
trying to do everything he can to get better at something that otherwise you might just go through the motions.
Yeah, and he's going to learn a shit ton of that. That's going to carry over to different shit, right? So he's like, okay, that strategy didn't work. So next time when he goes to approach a different one, he's like, okay, when I did this, I felt like that. So I know if I go too hard during here, and then like he's basically just understanding pacing so much better, which will of course have a good general adaptation to his jiu-jitsu strategy because he's like, I know I can push as hard as I possibly can for 30 seconds. I know I've got absolute dog in me for that long. Let's dog it out.
For sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, dude. And it's just cool to watch, you know, when someone is actually assuming the responsibility of some of that like problem solving themselves.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to mold that in the right direction as a coach rather than, you know, they don't want to do it. They're being resistant to it or,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
going through the motions, you know?
That's the difference between champions and, do you know what I mean? People who fucking really want it. That's literally what makes champions, bro. People who are just like, nah, I want this more than everyone else. I'm gonna figure this out. What do I need to do to master this part of this? Like basically just sharpen the fucking sword at all edges, man. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of which, your boy Ferris has to work on his on his vert.
Yes. Is he coming in?
Yeah, he came in a couple times, and one of the times we were ripping verts as him and PJ came in, and they started doing it. PJ picks it up quick. PJ learns fast, man.
Yeah.
And Ferris does a couple, and he's like, "Man, fuck this test." He's like, "This is fucking broken." It's so funny, dude. And I'm like, "Man, Charles doesn't ever have you jumping before." He's like, "Man, we're not testing vert." He's like, "This thing's fucking broken." It was great.
That's so funny. He hates the jump. He's not bad at the jumps though. It's the technical component where he just
Uh-huh.
overthinks it. Like
Yeah, for sure.
he's got a decent like a hop. He can fucking broad jump, but I love seeing Faris in those team environments, but it doesn't quite go his way. He's like, fuck this. This is fucking stupid.
For sure. But dude, it is cool. Like then when everyone is like problem solving and getting better at like, dude, PJ like started coaching him on it, and it was PJ's first day doing it too. It was just I just love seeing it, you know?
Sick. You got Faris and Marlon in there at the same time?
No, they haven't been in here at the same time yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Nah,
I mean, we got those mats here, you know, they're here in
they
case
can
of an
sort of.
emergency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Man, I need to get it out to San Diego, man.
You need
I've
to.
been,
You
I've been
do this
threatening,
whole tour.
I've been
You do a
threatening
tour
this
through
for a
the whole
while.
US and it goes all the way around San Diego.
No, I know. Yeah, I'd fucking love to move out to California, to be fair. Be fucking
I know.
sick.
I feel like deep down you've got the calling to come out here.
Yeah. I'd probably make it happen. Yeah, I think California next year, it would make it happen, dude. Come to San Diego.
Dude, there's man, it's been kind of cool the shift that's been happening with a lot of like other gyms opening up and stuff. Uh, if you're out here, actually, do you train in the gi at all anymore or not really?
Nah, man. I mean, I'm
It's
happy to put it on. I don't really give a shit, but like, I prefer Nogi so much more.
gross, dude.
You don't like Nogi?
So dude, the first 7 years that I trained, with a wrestling background and stuff, the whole first 7 years I trained, I refused to put on the gi. And since then I've made a hell of a 180. I can still go back to no gi. I mean, I got plenty of roots in it, but dude, I just love the gi. I love the fact that,
Damn, you're a gay guy now.
dude, there's consequences to your actions, In no gi, you fuck up, someone passes your guard. It's not real. It's
You
not
just
real.
you just stand up, bro. You literally just stand
Yeah, and
up.
like, dude, sweeps. There's no clean sweeps. You just wrestle up like a heathen, you know?
You just get pinned on bottom and mount in gi. It's the worst thing ever. You're
Oh, it's
stuck.
beautiful. Yeah, you gotta learn not to make mistakes, you know?
Yeah, it's the laundry, man. The laundry as well. That's what Flanagan would say. He's like, nah, fuck the laundry.
That is a real concern.
Yeah. When did I last put the gi on in November. It was like I was just getting entangled with someone who's got decent grips. Just you because you're like trying to smash past someone and suddenly they catch your fucking leg or they just catch you. You're like, just fuck off, man. Get off me.
Yeah, unless
It's
you're the guy with the grips. Maybe you need some of
yeah.
those Scotty K workouts, Get you some strong grips.
Yeah, what was that about? I started watching that video and I was like, man, I just can't watch the Scotty K shit.
Yeah, you know anything about that guy?
Well, I've seen Rufus was doing this like he started like calling him out and I followed him for a bit and I was like, wow, even though I like you, Rufus, I have to unfollow this because I can't keep just seeing this shit over and over and over again. Like
It's heavy,
what
yeah.
yeah, he just like did some retarded shit and he just seems like a bad dude. What's he
Yeah,
done?
but now what it's looking like, he's done like two rebrands since those like sexual assault things, and he's
Ah,
trying to like find his new way. And what it looks like is he's trying to like get into the jujitsu strength and conditioning side of things. And I'm like, fuck that, fuck
fuck
that.
I mean that sport already has enough. Well, yeah, the sexual assault thing. What the fuck is wrong with people? Genuinely,
Yeah,
what the
man.
fuck? What are you doing, bro? Like,
It's brutal, dude. I watched Craig release something in like the last day or so. Like it was like a deep dive on Melky Galvao. That's heavy, dude. There's some
well,
serious issues.
yeah, he's a proper pedophile, right? I mean that's obviously a big word to throw around, but
No, yeah, like without a doubt. And then also like some like shifty murders, like his first wife got shot. I don't know, man.
fuck,
I don't
dude.
know. You should, yeah.
That's
There's just creeps. Yeah, there's too many creeps with too
too
much
many
power.
fuck. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? These people who get really hungry for power often are fucking the, the people who are most hungry for the power are often the most fucked up, right? And then they just want to be in that position where they have like a bit more like they can get away with the more their fucked up perversions, right?
Yeah, and I think the hierarchy type structure in something like jujitsu is appealing to them, you know?
Yeah. Well, it enables that behavior, right? Can enable
Yeah,
that behavior. Fucked up, dude.
it is. But
Dude. Yeah.
but you should despite all that, you should consider training in the gi for a little bit before you come out here. Because if you do train in the gi, our options for places to train at do open up quite a bit.
Yeah, no, when I come out, I'll do a couple months in the gi.
And I'll drag you to some spots that do some CLA, so who knows? Maybe it'll change your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the CLA stuff would really because here's the thing, right? I show up to jiu-jitsu now. I don't do any of the technique. I show up like half an hour, 45 minutes late. I'm like, man, I just don't have bothered. I learn technique just by I go to the spar, right? I want to fuck around with the boys. I want to do the positional work. I want to do the sparring, and then I'll have questions. I've got like a very lucky training room where I can just ask someone a question, and they'll have the right answer, which is amazing. So I'll go up to like Nico or Owen and be like, okay, I'm struggling with this. What should I do? And they'll just show you options from there. So I'm like very specific with like my questioning and trying to like work things that will be specific to my game. So I think like CLA problem solving with games, I'd love that shit because like you're doing the thing while trying to figure it out. Whereas I struggle to sit there, watch the technique, and then try and do the technique where I'm like, I don't really want to do this particular technique. Like I just want to sweat or I just want to get started. Do you know what I mean? My attention span for that is thin. Whereas if we're gamifying it, trying to get certain positions or do certain things, that seems very appealing to me.
Man, it is very fun. And likewise, man, I've trained for a long time. There would be very few times where you go to a typical class, they're showing a technique, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, this is that piece I need, you know? And
Yeah.
and dude, another thing I will say, being a bigger guy and a black belt. It's also even in San Diego, it's rare that in a room I've got multiple partners around my size and experience level. There'll be some, but if we're doing 6 rounds in class, it's rare that I've got 6 different partners that are going to be solid partners for me. The
Yeah.
cool thing is in a CLA format, a guy could be significantly lighter or, less experienced or whatever. And when you limit the options within one of those games, like there is still a lot of value that you can get out of it, because we're not doing all the options aren't open to us, or sometimes the games scale. So like if you win a round, the way you set up the next round is a little bit harder, or the rules are a little bit more difficult for you, which is just, I don't know, it's a cool way to really stay engaged and focused and actually try to figure stuff out the whole time.
Yeah, no, I'd be right up for that. We had Saunders on the podcast, I think like last year, 2 years ago. Seems like a great guy, but just likes to speak in big words, and I think that's probably like off-putting to a lot of people. I can see the appeal, and I can also see the disappeal of what he's trying to do. But ultimately, he's doing a great thing. Like the boys do like training with him. I hear nothing but good things, but from people who do train with him. I mean, I would love that
Yeah,
system, to be fair.
yeah, and okay, let's say hypothetically that the entire theory of ecological dynamics, let's just say for the sake of this conversation that it's wrong, that there's actually no value to it. I
Sure.
still think what Greg in particular and this entire movement is doing, it has people thinking about what actually works and moves the needle. Even people who don't do CLA, they're
Yeah, yeah.
thinking about like the stuff that they do in the beginning of class. What warm-ups are helpful? What sort of drills actually help people? Like, dude, 10, 15 years ago, you just show up and take whatever slop they give you, and it's either and it's going to occur in one of two ways. Either they've got some super rigid like curriculum that
Yeah,
will just boringly bring you through like, oh, you're doing this boring shit for the next couple weeks, and they have to spend the same amount of time on each technique, and you're like, man, this sucks. Or you've got someone who just kind of rolls out of bed and they're like, oh, yeah, today we're gonna
do
uh
armbar.
yeah, yeah, today we're doing an arm bar, you know? And yeah, it was just in the past, no one was even having the conversation as to like how people learn, what communication styles actually appeal to people. And so
Yeah,
I think even if there was no value to the system, and obviously, however much we want to debate what that value is, there's obviously some, but
for
even if there
sure.
was none, we got people thinking about it. We got people
Yeah.
caring about how like teaching is a separate skill from how you actually demonstrate jujitsu,
Yeah.
and I think, dude, I think that's good for the sport.
Dude, I'm reading a book called The Inner Game of Tennis right now, and it's not the book is super translatable to like any skill component, right? Because he's talking about if you I'm only like I think like 25 or like 30 pages deep into the book, and it's very like if you try really fucking hard to like perfect this skill, often like he's talking about flow state here. It can be harder to perfect that skill when you're trying really fucking hard to specifically do that. So he's talking about like, make different constraints for the situation. Or it's like he had this woman come in, and every time she would hit the ball, it would hit the fucking frame of the racket. Where it's like, that's pretty fucking hard to do. If you try and hit the frame, I don't know if you played tennis before. If you try and hit the frame every single time, it's gonna be pretty fucking hard to do. So the guy's like, rather than coach or anything, just like, I'm just gonna shoot balls at you. Just hit them back to me, 10 balls. And then like 8 out of 10 times, she hit the fucking frame. And he's like, well, that's impressive, dude. Like you wouldn't even do. And he's like, okay, but hers, and then the book goes into like a lot of psychological stuff, like self-talk, which is obviously massive, and the psychological component. But he's like, okay, cool. I just want you to focus now on just hitting the middle of the racket, and she hit like 4 frames, 6 frames, and then like 4 of the balls were like, worse hits. And he's like, okay, cool. I don't want you to think about uh fuck, I forgot the last prompt, but he like gave her like a more specific, like an even more specific prompt, and then she just started like hitting the middle of like hitting the fucking middle of the racket, perfect shots, and it's like just like you said, different ways of approaching coaching is it's obviously better for the sport overall. Because, like you said, it just gets people think like, even if whether you think it's right or wrong, people now that to justify that drilling is better, you have to think differently about drilling, and obviously you need to be able to explain yourself better to produce a better counter argument. So it's like, cool, you want to have a counter argument. Why is drilling better? Like, why is that way of coaching better? So ultimately, everyone's sharpening the sword, getting better at coaching because they want to present a different argument, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And man, I think when you start to just look at movement variability within human movement, and let's take something again, like from another sport where there's less variables involved. Let's look at something like a free throw in basketball,
Yeah.
right? Okay, the best guys in the world, Steph Curry shoots 92% from the line. Why is it not 100%?
Mm.
Because it's actually damn near impossible for a human to do even an isolated movement where there's no opponents to just do that isolated movement exactly the same. We actually
Yeah.
can't do it. It's like built into the way that we do things. We cannot do things exactly the same. And
Mm.
there's a lot of data on how that's actually protective for connective tissue and stuff like that. It's harder to get an overuse injury because you actually can't do something exactly the same each time. But
Mm.
if something like a free throw at the absolute best is like 92%, and it's not that Steph Curry's not trying hard enough, right? Like you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
can't do it. Then we start to look at all these these other movements, something in jujitsu where you have like a struggling opponent. There's no free throw in jujitsu. So if there's a ton of movement variability in something as simple as a free throw, imagine something, let's take a simple pass like a Toriando pass. You've probably never done two Toriando passes that are exactly the same in your life, even with the same partner, right?
Yeah.
His reactions are going to be a little bit different. You're going to do it a little bit differently,
Yeah, it's
you know?
impossible to replicate that 100% every single time.
Right. So then even, a ton of rote drilling on one partner, then all of a sudden you got someone with a femur that's like 8 inches longer,
Yeah, doesn't work then.
like it's gonna be different. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, I think these are good discussions. I think it's about time that something like this happens in the sport. And just, to then bring it back to the personal experience of it selfishly, man, I love, we got Andres's place around the corner, Corvus, where they
Yeah.
do gi and no gi with CLA, and then PJ's place, 10th Planet South Bay down the road. Obviously all no gi, but yeah, they throw a ton of CLA in there as well. And dude, it's just very engaging. If you're willing to, and I do think from a business perspective, there are some consumers that go there that don't want to have the responsibility of problem solving. It's funny, a lot of the people that have left, in particular Atos, and have gone to other places, if they're like a blue or a purple belt and they're used to just being fed that technique, and then
Yeah.
they're like, all right, you're gonna solve problems for the next hour. They're like, I don't like this. I feel like I'm not learning anything because they don't trust their own decision making. But it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really cool when you see someone start to trust their decision making and trust the fact that like you can figure this out and you can find a really good answer for you.
Well, that's an interesting point. That's what sparring is, right? Sparring is problem solving. Like, and occasionally you may be presented with the problem of that fits the perfect square for the technique, but the majority of the time you're sitting there like if someone's worse than you, for sure, you can just spam that move over and over again. But to get like a predictable response, like is pretty fucking rare. Like unless you're way better than that person, so you got to problem solve.
Yeah. Yeah, and like that's the point
It's a
anyways.
skill. It's a skill, right?
Yeah, so like cut to it, you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd enjoy CLA, man.
Man, maybe I'll convert you.
Yeah. We don't have any here, but yeah, that's the thing. Convert me, move out to California, dude.
Dang. I just convert you
That'd be
to a
big.
Yank, convert you to CLA.
Yes. Well, you know, I'm a sucker for the Americanized. Like, remember that? I got so much fucking American merch, dude. I got a Yellowstone t-shirt, the Bears, the fucking Eagles. I love America, man. I think it's fucking sick. Dude, I'll tell you what. Let's just go on a quick riff about nutrition, talking about like recovery and sleep. Dude, since I started like dialing in my nutrition more, bro, my sleep quality through the roof. The performance at training through the fucking roof. Like cutting extra bits of fat that were just non-functional on my body, like game changer. Just being fat for no reason, not even like fat, but just having like excess body fat, super unhelpful, in my opinion.
Well, dude, it's kind of wild because like even in your progress pictures, like the before, you wouldn't look at that and be like, "Oh, he's got like mass to lose," And I think a lot of people walk around like that. Shit, dude. Right now, I easily have like 10 pounds on me that I just don't need.
Yeah.
Um, But, and same thing, like I can see my abs, so it's easy for me to be like, no, I'm good here. But yeah, I think a lot of people aren't aware of how some of those productive changes in body comp can just, dude, it's kind of like the cardio conversation. It's so connected to everything that we do, you know?
Yeah, massively. But just like the carb cycling and just having a way, I think so many people, like obviously more people like they need to eat more protein for sure. But I think within people who are already training and they're committed to their training, they enjoy training, the amount of protein and fats they're consuming versus carbohydrates is so off. Like if you just do tracking for 7 days, and I'm working with John Heck, so I actually didn't do any tracking. He just fucking wrote me like the perfect plan. I was like, this is what I do, dish, 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 dish. But like I knew just by committing myself to nutrition, like we've been working for like 10 plus years. So like I know about nutrition, but I'm not gonna fucking stick to like unless I get myself a coach and commit to it. I just didn't have the motivation to do it. But like just realizing, dude, like I was consuming probably 5 to 6 thousand calories a day just from fucking overdoing olive oil, overdoing butter. And as soon as I cut all that shit out, like obviously that there you go. That's like a 2K calorie gap daily. That you could just plug that in. You could just replace that with fucking carbohydrates. Not that I continue to eat 5 to 6 per day, but you just don't need that much protein and fat, dude. Just hit the minimum effective dose. Like you see bro chopping boards of like steak, avocado, eggs. Like, yeah, I eat that shit like I eat that shit every day, but you don't need that fucking much of it. Also, if you're not eating your carbohydrates, you're just not gonna have the fucking energy to train. Like no wonder, like so many jiu-jitsu guys I speak to, they get to the mats at like 10 o'clock and they finish training at 2 o'clock. No food within that time. I'm like, what did you have before you came here? They're like, oh, something like bit of this, bit of that. Like if you're not consciously thinking about your nutrition and you're doing everything else, you're doing everything to optimize just your physical training, and you didn't even give a breath of fresh air towards your nutrition, that's crazy to me. Like,
Dude, I
how are you
also,
feeling?
dude, I feel like the carnivore propaganda has done
Oh man.
irreparable damage to specifically sport performance.
Yeah,
You know,
dude.
like that cutting board you were describing, that whether or not the influencer that you might be thinking of was carnivore, they were fucking influenced by it, dude.
Yeah, dude. And just like, yeah, but it's not like the biggest pushback thing that I hear is like, yeah, but I'm eating healthy. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, of course, steak, eggs, avocado. It's like, yeah, that they're all good. But how's that going to fuel your training sessions? How's your recovery, dude? As soon as you start getting more carbs, then your recovery is going to go fucking way up. Now you've got way more energy to train. No shit. Like you're not gonna get fuel
Yeah.
like people just having like eggs before they do a fucking 2 hour jiu-jitsu session. Like you got no fuel in the tank, bro. Of course you're gonna start feeling tired.
Dude, I mean, you brought it up too. I think most people that are already health conscious or active are aware of protein, and there you get to a point where you can just check that off, and literally you probably don't have to think about it anymore, like at all.
It's
You know
done,
what
bro.
I mean? Like,
Yeah,
sure, the average person, yeah. And like realistically, what does and even looking at protein, like the timing doesn't matter that much. Like when you get it in the day, it's just not that big a deal. And everyone
bro.
makes it out. There's all those different myths, like, oh, you can only take in 30 grams of protein in a sitting. Not
Nah,
true.
nah, nah.
Like all this
Yeah.
different shit about protein, it just doesn't matter. But what does matter is like when you have, let's say you have a given number of carbs in the day, when you have it actually does matter.
Yeah. Massively. Massive. Like when you start cycling, like obviously just increasing your your total carb intake, massive game changer. So just like do that first. Then you start having like 90 grams plus before training. Then you're like, okay, I want to lose body fat. You start taking an intra workout. You're like, man, I feel amazing. Then post
Yep,
workout, like the studies are showing that like 1 to 2 hours post training, you get those carbohydrates in. That's reducing the perceived intensity of your next workout.
for sure.
That's a game changer. Like, why would you just not do that?
Yeah. No, and dude, so something we actually just ran out of it today, but talking about like intra, man, I've just had honey on my desk, and there's some guys that I know that they come in here after training, they haven't had shit, and I'm like, dude, go have a shot of honey and
Yeah,
come back into your session. And dude, like all of a sudden, 10, 20 minutes later, they all of a sudden have life in them. I'm like, what if you just did that before you know what I mean? What if you actually put some time in and took in carbs before your session so we didn't have to like approach death and then have a spoonful of honey to like come back? Like, can you just
yeah.
plan ahead a little bit?
You didn't have to feel like that. You could have just that could have been easily avoided. But the intra investing, you should do this, bro. Investing in a good intra workout is a game changer, bro. I have 50 grams of carbs when I train. Awesome. Like my fuel,
Yeah.
my energy throughout training is just tenfold now.
Maybe I should. Yeah, I'm riding high right now with even just cardio. But dude, even with cardio sessions, especially tracking output, if I haven't been on my carb intake for one of those like more intense interval sessions,
You're gonna
dude,
struggle.
there's no way I'm gonna match my numbers.
No,
Yeah,
because you don't have fuel in the tank.
for sure.
Even lifting weights, dude. Like I had one client
Oh,
who just he's like a banker who'd come in and he's like eating the bro chopping boards and changed his diet up, got his carbs in, swapped some things around, and he's like now he's just like each session is consistent energy.
I love how you can just say the chopping board and that perfectly explains what's going to be on there. And there won't be a lick of carbs.
No, steak, eggs, avocado, and you're like, man, it's all good shit. Don't get me
Maybe
wrong.
some berries. Maybe some berries.
Yeah, like 20 grams of carbs and berries. You got me? Oh no, you're frozen. All right, we'll get you
I
back.
think we're
We'll get
good
you
now,
back.
right?
Yeah, we're good. Sick, man. All right, we need to get a podcast with Gus. What's he saying on the group chat? No, no, no reply.
I know what the hell's going on.
Coach's favorite
The,
coaches, man.
the universe doesn't
In the line for us today.
dude, I
Sorry, we'll
will
get back
say
to you.
actually, I want to ask you about this. What do you I love Angus's like short form content. I love when he like makes it purposefully like really short, a bit provocative. I also love that like in his long form, he actually gets into nuance. Like he's not actually, I don't know. I think his delivery is beautiful, and I love how it just pisses off either the old head coaches or like the younger ones that just don't know what's up yet. I think it's just masterfully done.
So I think it's like I've kind of come to the realization that like the thing with content is you want to be to grow like a bigger audience it isn't always super helpful, right? Because I think you want to be the for sure the face of your content. I think Gus does that really well. I think you do that really well. Roman particularly does this really well. Like I was hitting those, not to make this about me, but like I was hitting those remix videos for a while, the breakdown videos, and they're fucking good. They're super engaging. But like the way Gus does it and the way like it's always him in the video and he just puts up a simple fucking thing. That stirs up so much engagement. Sometimes you go onto his thing and it's got like 120 comments on there and people just going to war in the fucking
Yeah.
in the comment section. It's good shit. Like just here's a simple thought. I'm just gonna put it out. And that's what short form content is there for, right? It shouldn't be like this hyper edited like video, in my opinion. Like, look at the guy. What's his name? Who's doing the CTE? What's his name again?
Oh,
Explaining creatine. Like, we both have CTE. Super simple concept. Super low editing. Here's the video. Here I am. Here's me explaining something. Bang. And I think we're seeing a lot more of that in short form content now, which is great. And that's what I'm just like, just here's an idea. Present it in a well thought manner. Bang, not hyper edited bullshit. And I get like that's what I think short form content should be, really.
yeah. And focusing more so on like the angle that you're taking, like a creative angle on that topic, more so than the most curated and like, aesthetic necessarily. Even man, I don't know why I can't remember that guy's name either, but the CTE guy. I mean, he just holds an iPad and just taps like two images as he's talking. It's
Yeah,
super simple, but it's a great way to make a point.
super simple, explains his point perfectly. There it is. Bang. Like that's it. And we're
Yeah,
seeing like more and more people doing that now. They just get a cat literally like cameras here, or I'm just talking to the camera there. Here's my idea. Bang. Versus the hyper curated like I feel like more people they want to see that. They want to see the raw stuff.
for sure. And I think, man, there's a term that I've been using lately, enlightened simplicity, where you're being very simple on purpose, not because you are ignorant to the complexity of the topic,
Yeah.
but because you know of the complexity, you can convey it in such a simple way. It's funny because I'm actually trying to work on an in-service right now for my coaches, and then the PT that's been working out of my gym is incredible. Hector, I've like collabed with him a few times. Um, man, he's super bright. If
Yeah,
you have a chance, I should
yeah,
hook
I
you
see
guys up.
the physio. Yeah, he's good shit.
Yeah. So, he wanted me to do an in-service on programming. And it's funny, dude, because my approach for programming nowadays is so simple and straightforward. And it's not because I don't know the periodization schemes, the stuff from triphasic or super training or whatever else. But like I've gone through that phase and I've just like I've narrowed it down to the things that I know move the needle, and I just keep it with that simple stuff and tweak slightly from there. Like when we're already at a starting point that's beautifully simple and effective, you know? And it's like this it's funny because as I'm looking at how I'm gonna present something on how I approach programming, I could just start and be like, hey, this is how I program. And it would be really short, and you'd kind of be like, but aren't you aware of all this other shit? And what I could do is I could have the whole first half of the presentation go into all of these extravagant periodization schemes and, Soviet methods, etc., just to end up saying, well, despite all that, I just took this little thing from here, this little thing from here, and this, and I just do this, you know?
Mm.
But dude, I think there's something beautiful about that, whether it's short form content, whether it's programming, dude, even you talking about the stuff that you were doing for rehab or the stuff that you were doing as it relates to nutrition, right? It doesn't need to be a dissertation, right? Sometimes something that's just like beautifully simple and confidently like handed to you is so much more valuable than all these like crazy tweaks and details.
Yeah, well, the people who love all the crazy tweaks and details are the people who are like surfing the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? So, like, the Dunning-Kruger effect where you start with like, "Oh, I just need to eat well, train well, and sleep well," right? Then they start knowing a little bit. Then they're like, "Give me this fucking Quentin Torres. Give me the fucking advanced, super advanced method on this." And it's like, yeah, for sure. I mean, these are good methods, but do they work specifically for you? And if you can just take the little gems out of those things and just apply it to a simple program that you'll be consistent with, and it's simple. People want simple shit to follow, and like if you're talking about a really complex topic and you could just make it super simple for someone to understand, they're gonna be like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, or
They'll
even,
just uptake it, and you
dude,
can
it's
make
like,
multiple videos.
yeah, and it's even like gamifying some of the cardio stuff that we've been doing, right? Like I could be
Mhm.
like, all right, Marlon, today we're going to be really focusing on like aerobic glycolysis, which means blah blah. Instead,
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
like,
give a
hey,
shit about
dude, yeah, I'm like, yesterday I hit 1400 watts. When I was doing that first interval, I want you hitting 1400. And he's like, got it. And then he attacks it. You know what I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
And it just needs to be simple. It doesn't need to be, and even with like Angus's content recently where he's talking about like force plates and stuff. I love it because I also love how it pisses people off who love their numbers. And I won't lie, dude, from a business sense, some people as consumers love when you like blow them away with the bells and whistles and analytics and they think you're doing something and it's not influencing a damn thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's well, me me and my coach Ben, we have a like a joke. It's like, yeah, the bands and chains, man. What about the bands and the chains? Like, no shitting on that, but it's like, just do the basics first. Like, just don't worry about that shit. Like, it's so marginal. Like, just show me that you can fucking hit your numbers and consistently, and then maybe at some point we may throw on some bands and chains later. But like, probably not even. Like, hit the simple shit. But yeah, again, some people will love the more scientific approach. Like when they come in, they want to know the details. Oh yeah, coach, why are we doing this? And you'll be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll explain it to you. But for most people, unless they really ask about it, they don't give a shit.
Right. Yeah, and I think as long as you have enough metrics, enough things to like gamify it and give them something to focus on and actually improve, like we need something. We don't need to cover up, the numbers on all the dumbbells in the gym because like metrics don't matter. You
Yeah.
need something. But at a certain point, it does become noise, you know?
Yeah. So good. I saw the recent video of Angus's. Show me a good week of shitting. All the influencers are doing like a good like what I eat in a day. Show me a good week of shitting, man. But it's true, like, bro, your diet's on point when you're shitting good for like weeks in a row.
It's true.
Show me a good week of shitting, man. RateMyPoo.com, the goated site. Fuck yeah. How's your content doing, man? You enjoying it still?
Yeah. I really want to be doing more stuff on YouTube. It just takes so much more input. But
Yeah.
yeah, things are going well. I'm just trying to showcase a lot more of the stuff that we're doing here. I think for a while, same as you, like reviewing a lot of stuff. Like, obviously, dude, okay, this has actually been a topic. I haven't known how to put this into a post without sounding like I'm whining, but dude, I feel like you will relate on this. I could give some outside perspective on some athlete from the little snippets I see of their training, and that shit'll do incredibly. And then I give the inside perspective to someone that I'm working with, and it doesn't do bad, but it just, average. And
Yeah.
it's kind of infuriating. Like they want the speculative outside bullshit more than they actually want to see that inside stuff. But I do think that sometimes we could get a little too influenced by those numbers. I do think
Yeah.
that there is just a lot more value when you do give
Yeah.
that inside look. And lately, even when I do review something, like I did another version of that, I hit up Scotty K's stuff again because there were so many comments in there where it was just like making me tear my hair out. Um, and so I just compared him to like two of the women that I train, and both of them are doing single arm dumbbell rows with 115 pounds, and it's like 90% of their body weight, and they're
Yeah.
just repping it out. And I'm like, man, okay, you know who never complains about grip strength? These two women, because they're strong as shit. Dude,
Yeah.
they're both doing weighted pull-ups with, 20 kilos or more strapped to them.
Savage.
Like, yeah, dude, they're not worried about grip strength. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I've
You
been
know,
trying, I think we got some cool people that come through here, and I just feel like I kind of just take it for granted. It's just like another Wednesday. So I don't show that stuff off enough. So I've been trying to insert that where I can because yeah, we got cool stuff going on here.
you know what that is? It's just familiarity. Like because Scotty is an example. He's got millions of followers. Loads of people already know who he is. So they're like, oh, I know this guy. And they're more inclined to watch the video. That's why these clips do so well. Like you could use Islam Makhachev. Everyone knows Islam Makhachev. So they're going to fucking watch the video. But I think what I found and what you've literally just said, you use that as the hook and then you bring it back to your guys. And that video will hold itself because you've got them in with the hook.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just packaging, right? It's just a communication style. Um, but yeah, I'm also, man, I'm trying to record as much as I can with Marlon's camp. We're documenting a ton of that.
Sick.
Um, I'm not trying to blow him up too much while he's in camp and he's focusing on it, but I want to share a ton of that stuff too, because dude, it's actually the only thing that we haven't gotten to on here. You follow David Joplin?
No, who's David Joplin?
Uh, yeah, he's a former power lifter. He's recently started getting into jiu-jitsu, posts some really good stuff. And man, he brought up something a while ago that I had done similarly, but I've adopted it the way that he asked. I think it's super useful when you first start working with a client. And what I've started doing is checking in with some of my clients with this question. And with most of them, I can kind of tell what the answer is going to be. But basically, his whole thing is like, all right, when he starts with a client, he goes from 1 to 10. How hard do you want me to coach you? One is you're showing up, no expectations. You don't want me to hold you accountable. You're just doing something that you kind of know is healthy, and whatever happens, happens. 10 is like military dictatorship. Like whatever the hell I tell you, you do exactly how hard I tell you to. And if you say you're going to do something, I'm going to make damn sure that you're held accountable. Right. And,
Yeah.
he brought it up where it's useful to meet people where they're at, right? And know exactly how much they want to put into it and make sure that that aligns with their expectations. And it's funny because as I'm doing this with certain clients, and obviously for everyday people, I think that question matters a lot more. For an athlete, man, if you're an athlete of mine and you're not answering at least like an 8 or a 7, what are we doing? You
Yeah.
know? But it's funny because I knew it would happen like this and I should have recorded it. I didn't even bother asking Marlon for a while because I knew it would just be ridiculous. But anyways, one day I asked him, I was like, all right, Marlon. here's a scenario. What do you want from me as coaching? And he's like, what do you mean? 10.
Yeah, yeah, of
He's
course
like,
he
I
would.
want to, I want to know exactly what to do, dude. And it was just, I knew that's how he would answer too. Um, but yeah, dude, it's just cool when you have someone like that where they're like, all right, whatever you give me, I'm gonna run with it. And I think it sucks because there've been plenty of times, I'm sure you've run into this too, where you've got somebody where as a coach, you almost want it more than them. And that's
Yeah,
tough, right? Um, and I think this conversation's good because then they can sort of set that expectation and be like, all right, they don't really have expectations from this, so whatever. If they answer five, I'm not gonna sweat it. But it's real cool when someone the cool thing about Marlon is, some people will say 10, but they don't actually want a 10, you
yeah.
know?
You start giving
Marlon, there's
them the 10 and they start to freak out.
Yeah. Yeah, but man, it's been great. So I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of that stuff. Um I'm excited to see how he does at ADCC. I feel like a lot of people, unless you've really been paying attention, aren't expecting him to go there and put on a show. And man, that kid is hungry.
Sick. Yeah, I'm excited to see it, man. Are you gonna go out there?
Nah. No, I got a kid, a second kid that we're
Oh, sick.
expecting beginning of October.
Congrats,
Yeah.
man. That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
you ain't gonna go to ADCC.
Thanks,
No
dude.
way. Yeah, no way. No way, dude.
Not a chance.
Yeah, it will be
What
sick
about
though.
you? How have you been liking content?
So I'd say I've taken my foot off slightly. I want to try and approach it a different way. Like I've stuff's been working for me, like doing the posts. I feel like I know how to draw in engagement and get like get virality and make posts bang. But like I look back and like this time last year, I would just have like weeks in a row of like posts that would get like 500,000 views, and I was like, that's sick. But it didn't necessarily convert that well for business. Obviously, you get a good overflow of like people who will join up. I want to get more into like just me talking to the camera and just that's my short form content. Like just more Yap style. Me and the camera. Here's an idea that I've been thinking about. This is it. And I want to get into doing that every day. And that's my kind of goal now, convert to that versus like posts and putting like, what will bang. Like if I know if I put like Alexander Karelin and some other dude on a post, that will get initial eyeballs into it. They'll continue flicking through. So the post will do very well. But I want to do it so I'm just talking about an idea. So straight to camera. Here's the idea. No edit, no B-roll. This is it. That's going to be my focus for now. I just signed up for a YouTube course, a guy called Ed Lawrence, and it's been pretty fucking good. Like I did the James Smith mentorship, that was excellent. This YouTube course is fucking good. He's got a lot of AI integrations in them, but it's YouTube is a different beast. Like I've got a cameraman, and I've got an editor, which is really fucking like crucial because editing for YouTube it's time consuming, dude. Like a video can take you fucking hours, but if you got the right processes in place, it can. But basically, YouTube comes down to script writing. The way he teaches it, and this is a guy who's made like over $10 million from YouTube, so he knows what the fuck's going on. And that's the goal for me. How can I present what's in my brain and what's worked for people effectively to a camera and to the masses that will help build more trust with my audience, so they will buy more programs for me. And yeah, essentially that's it. So the goal for me is to really pick up the YouTube. Like I want the silver play button. I'd love to get that by the end of the year, but just really master that art of talking to camera and getting out my ideas effectively that will also appeal to not appeal, but will resonate with the audience. So I guess that the skill of just talking to camera, script writing, and because it's essentially just marketing, right? Get better at script writing, get better at just presenting to your audience and presenting your ideas.
Man, the spoken word's like a superpower.
Superpower, bro.
And I think, this is something that I've thought about a bit. The likelihood that the jujitsu, let's look at something else with a really deep, really high skill cap, like jujitsu, right? Which I think is a big part of why we fall in love with it. what's the likelihood that 10 years from now or 20 years from now, the jujitsu you can express is better than the jujitsu that you can express now, considering everything, athleticism, whatever, right? Like it's at some point it's gonna start to decline,
Mhm.
right? But what's the likelihood, like 10 years from now, we should be way better communicators than we are now. And if
Way
you
better.
view it like a skill and you build that skill, man, that's something that we can continue to build, you know, damn near indefinitely, until the
Yeah.
wheels really start to fall off and we got some deep-seated dementia from all the, Jack 3D that we were blasting 10 years ago, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly how I look at it. Like each time I get in front of the camera, and the self-talk thing is massive as well. Like, and people talk about like imposter syndrome, etc. Like the self-talk that you have with yourself. Like, let's say I'm trying to film a YouTube video and I've got the idea. Like yesterday, I filmed 3 videos. One I posted, two I just threw away because they were shit videos, right? And sometimes when I get in front of the camera, it's gonna take me fucking ages. I'm standing there like duh, 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 and just keep fucking stumbling on the words. But the self-talk that you give yourself during those periods, if you're like, man, I fucking suck at this. What the fuck am I doing? Fuck. Like that is not helpful. That like getting used to being like, you're good, man. Get some water, chill out. You got this. You're gonna fuck this. You're just sharpening the sword right now. You're gonna get better at this. Like that will encourage you to keep practicing because it's a skill. The more time you have in front of that camera, the better and better you're going to get. As long as you're thinking about getting better and you're thinking about writing better scripts as well. Okay, like what about this post did well? And you can use AI integrations. A lot of people seem to be anti-AI. Like you can put your thing into like Claude, or you can even get it to design your own fucking dashboard where it's like, okay, based on my previous videos, I can see that this video did really well. Like, what were the better talking points? And you can plug in the analytics from YouTube and get it to like be like, oh, well, this resonated more with your audience. These are the problems that the problems that your audience specifically resonates with and that it has. And you can get it to help prompt you more ideas for videos based around that. And as AI gets better, like it's a fucking super, it's a really useful tool that you can use to keep delivering good content that will resonate with your audience and solve their problems. Because ultimately, that's what it comes down to. People watch it because they're either, oh, this is an interesting idea, or I have this specific problem. I need to listen to this.
Yeah, I also think it depends on how you use it and how you maintain the human element, right? And I
Yeah.
think to bring up your boy Quentin Torres again, there was that time
Yes.
like a year and a half ago uh, where I made a video, shitting on fascia like I do, and he jumped into the comments and he was like, "Hey, would you want to debate me?" Blah blah blah. And this was a time when he was just using that AI voice nonstop. And
Yeah.
I'm actually going to credit myself for saving his page because now he actually uses his own dumbass voice way more,
He's
which is
he's
I think from at least in some small part due to this argument. But I was like, "Oh, am I going to be debating you or your stupid AI voice?" And he's like, "Man, there's nothing wrong with using AI content, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yeah,
there
go
is
ahead,
there
use
is
it." And it's clearly making your page grow. I'm like, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna respect you. Don't expect your peers are gonna like just take in that AI slop and be like, "Oh my God, he's so smart."
yeah,
I think when you lose that human element and you're sort of
100%.
hiding behind that facade of AI,
Oh yeah.
that's when it starts to really degrade the quality.
For sure. And like if you just use like AI to make you a script and you're reading it off a script, that's retarded because it's you're like why do anything at that point? Because the AI will just do everything for you. Like of course you have to fucking think like use your brain. Like think about what's the topics you actually want to talk about, and it can plow the field for you if you have enough metrics and data to be like, okay, these are the most common problem areas that your customers have. Here's the ideas, and you go away and think about those ideas, and you can just come up with like more creative ways to think about those particular things rather than having to think constantly about content create like idea creations.
Yeah, for sure. I will say though, on average, maybe to a fault, I am pretty anti AI. Just I think because it's so in your face when people are just overusing it and misusing it, and
Yeah.
that just I don't know. It just
When
irks
people,
me.
what are your experiences of people using it? Like what in what format do you mean?
I think mostly when it's just like, a slop caption, when it's when it's one of those carousels that's clearly all the cartoons made by ChatGPT, like just the laziest, least human form of it. And they're okay. I actually there's this cool podcast called You Are Not So Smart, which I've been loving. And there's this episode where they get into the difference between cognitive surrender and cognitive offloading. And I
This
think
is a
this
good
is the part
topic.
that bothers me,
This is a good
man.
topic. Maybe come back
And
to.
the example that they use in this podcast is incredible. Um, do you ever watch like The American Office at all?
Yeah, yeah. Steve Carell, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a scene where Michael and Dwight are following this GPS, and it's having them turn where there's no turn, and they're like yelling at each other, arguing, and finally, Michael just decides that he's going to listen to it, and he just turns straight into a lake, right? And that is like the example they use for cognitive surrender,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, where like you've given up all of your critical thinking skills. You're just 100% listening to that thing and just letting it guide you 100%.
Yeah.
Versus an example they use for cognitive offloading is just using a calculator, right? It's just making the process faster. You're putting the inputs in there. You're still, steering the ship. And I think when someone is using AI and it's obviously cognitive surrender, you're having it talk for you, you're having it write every script for you, you're having it fill out every caption and write its stupid emojis and its M dashes, right? Like that, man. When I read something that's obviously AI, my brain does the same thing as like when a commercial comes on TV. Like I'm not there, dude. I can't read it. I can't absorb it. I'm not
Mm.
sitting there absorbing what's on that commercial. My brain turns off. I'm like thinking about something else.
Yeah.
And I think when someone's got just like that heavy AI content, the same thing happens. I can't just like be immersed in it. I'm like, this sucks.
Mm.
It's fake. It just smells off.
Because you're a good critical.
And I
Because
think for
you're.
me,
Sorry, go.
yeah, no, for me, that's just it's like repulsive. And maybe as AI gets better, it'll be harder to pick up on that. I don't know, but as things are right now, that just to me, I'm like, ugh.
It's
And
because
then
you're a
if I
good critical
associate
thinker, dude.
that, well, thank you.
Most
But
people are.
yeah, well, dude, and I think that's why people get drawn to it because
Yeah, of
it
course.
works.
Yeah, because they lack the
Yeah.
critical thinking skills for the most part. But that's such a good point. Like I'm reading this. I finished reading this book called How to Talk to AI, and it's about the LLM, so the large language models, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, and some of the other ones. And it's like it does like a full deep dive on these AI models, how they build them, the everything that goes into them, what they're useful for, how to prompt them properly, how to talk to them, etc. And then it's like at the very end of the book, it's talking about like these have actually made people less productive. Obviously, the goal is to make them more productive, but using the constantly offloading to these large language models means you don't actually think. You're not problem solving yourself, which makes you dumber, makes that skill worse. And by making that skill worse, you're reducing your attention span and you're reducing your ability to think critically about a subject. They did a study where it's like two people wrote an essay, right? One could use the help, have the help of ChatGPT or whatever the language model was, and the other was just like, no ChatGPT, just write the fucking essay. And the group that had to write the essay could retain way more information and talk like properly about what they wrote about versus the one who did the language model. I think that they asked them like a month later, tell me about the essay, da da da. They couldn't remember anything because they felt like they didn't do it. And that's the whole point. If you're using a lot of AI to help you with some of these tools, you need to be very careful about how you're getting it to help you. Because if you get it to do like a large proportion of the work, you're not actually going to get better at that skill and retain much of that information because you're going to feel like you didn't do it because it's
Because you
taken
didn't.
because you didn't do the hardest part of the fucking skill, which is that's the often the best part. The hardest part, the struggle process of trying to fucking critically think is the most rewarding part that will sharpen the skill of what you're trying to achieve. It's fucking interesting
Man,
where it's gone.
that's even the same stuff we're talking about in the weight room, though, right? It's when you're actually trying to focus on that thing and problem solve and get really good at it. That's when you make those leaps. And that's where it matters less how much that thing translates to the sport and way more about how you're actually attacking it, you know? And I think that, yeah, it comes down to anything where that mental power is
Taken
valuable,
away.
whether that's you trying to get better in the weight room, whether that's you trying to make good content. Yeah, man. And I think to me, I don't know if it's, I don't know what it is that I find so repulsive about when someone's obviously just, yeah, completely surrendering to it and letting it just, pull all the strings. Yeah, it's yuck, man.
To an even deeper level, like I don't know what it's like in the US with people talking about mental health and shit. Like here in Europe, there's so many things where they just bend over to people with who just claim anything about mental health. And it's like, dude, the whole point of life is like you're gonna have some struggle. If you really want to get fucking better at something, or if you want to do something that's fulfilling in your life, there has to be struggle. There's gonna be times where you're gonna feel, oh, I feel a bit shit about this. I feel anxious. I feel like nervous. Maybe sometimes you even feel a little bit depressed. But you have to go through those kind of like journeys and that struggle to fucking ultimately feel fulfilled and get happiness. Do you know what I mean? And happiness is fleeting. You're not generally programmed to fucking feel that. And
Yeah,
then
well, I mean, a lot of those things are similar. I think you could hear the mental health side in like day-to-day life, not to bring it back to the gym like I'm some sort of strength coach or something, but you got people, crying about their genetics when they haven't even actually dialed in. Like, how can
yeah.
you tell me what your genetics are when you've barely even given it a crack? You
Because
know,
it's
that
easy. It's an easy cop out, bro. No, I don't have the genetics for it. No, oh, you must be using steroids. Like that's somehow like the magic fucking drug. It's like, yeah, do steroids and still don't do anything and see how fucking fat you get. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah, for sure. Before you even look at, man, another thing when people are like, oh, as it relates to recovery or recovering from an injury, and they're like, oh man, I could just take steroids. I'm like, you know that like your tendons will just, tendon health will plummet. Like it's not this magic pill that's just gonna fix everything. Like
yeah,
you look at a lot of guys who've juiced for a long time. You could just list different. They're like, yep, rip my adductor off the bone, hamstring tear, my fucking pec ripped off the bone. Like, yeah,
yeah.
it's just another one of those things that's an easy victim card, you know?
The easy options, dude. Trying to lose weight, get on the Ozempic, lose like 20 kilos of muscle. I started training this dude, and he's from Kuwait. And he's like, I was so close to doing Ozempic before I started with you. And I'm like, man, I'm so like he's lost fucking 5 kgs in I think like 7 weeks, 7 weeks now. And he's just putting in the work. And his doctor told him to do Ozempic, which is crazy. And he had a friend who did Ozempic, lost like 20 kilos, 10 kilos plus of muscle. So weak. You're like, what?
Man,
Dude, you think there's no easy way out to anything in life, dude.
and even, dude, what kills me when someone I do think there are lots of populations that will
For
absolutely
sure.
like reduce mortality rate,
Yes.
like it can be
If you're
great.
obese, yes.
Yes, but even, dude, even when they are like, or if someone's doing it for more vanity reasons, I think the average person is just so clueless that, man, if you stopped lifting and we're on a consistent deficit, whether from Ozempic or not, and you lost just consistently like the same amount of fat and muscle, you would just look equally shit as you lose weight. Like you don't
Yeah.
actually even look that much better. Sure, you're occupying less space,
You
but
just
like
look smaller.
if you lost less weight but just retained some of that muscle or built some, you
Yeah.
could lose a fraction of that weight and look so much better.
What's the whole point? You want something to show off, dude. Like, what do you just want to lose? Let's just be a smaller version of yourself. Like, yeah, I get that for health reasons, but like, you're just gonna look equally as shit. Like, you want to be a dad bod with just a 20 kilos less of a dad bod. Get some fucking muscle on, dude.
And it's also crazy, dude. Again, not to keep glazing your transformation photos, but like it's crazy that now that you're lighter, like if you were to just objectively ask some like or subjectively. You go up to someone, you're like, hey, which one of these am I bigger? They're actually gonna pick the one where you're lighter,
Yeah.
you know?
Like you look just because you got more going on, you're showing it off. Yeah. Being shredded
Yeah.
is better for everyone, man. Get shredded. But it
Yeah.
is, but to seriously get shredded, it is a fucking commitment. Like I just don't deviate from the plan at all. And that's what it takes. If you want to get fucking peeled, you need to set the plan like you do with the training and just not deviate from it. And it's not easy because food's more emotional than fucking training is, in my opinion. Like when you're in your own
No,
devices,
100%.
you've got your fucking you like everything's measured, and it doesn't have to be that it's that, but at least you need to have some plan with no deviation.
And like rock solid consistency.
Oh, bro, you can't fuck around at all. If you like, otherwise everyone will be fucking shredded, man. All right, man. Let's
Yep.
wrap it up. What is it, like 1 a.m. where you are? 12.
Yeah, it's getting there, dude. And I opened the gym at 7.
Let's get you out of here, man.
I might as well just sleep here at this point.
Is that concert still going on?
Dude, no, it must have just been a sound check. I don't know if you heard it in the first I
No,
don't know,
no.
in the first 20, 30 minutes.
Couldn't hear a thing.
Man, it was throwing me off.
All right, dude. Let's wrap it up. Let's get that podcast going with Gus. Hopefully next week.
I'm down, man. I'm always down.
Always a pleasure, man. I'll chuck the links in the links below. You know where you find Sterner, Instagram. We'll get the YouTube, his YouTube page in there. We'll do the collab YouTube. See you later, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe. That's it. That's all we got. All right, let's stop recording here.